Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums, and today I have a weekly check-in reading for Sunday, February 1st through Saturday, February 7th. So I hope everyone is doing okay. We made it past January, you guys. Yay. I wanted to use the Aquarian Tarot today since we are, right here, smack dab in the middle of Aquarius season. Today we have the Leo full moon happening as well. Some people celebrate Imbolc today, so blessed Imbolc for those that celebrate and are welcoming the return of the light. All right, so I haven't used this deck in forever, you guys. It's a beautiful deck, though. I have like the bridge size version because, again, I don't have very big hands, so it's nice to have some decks that are a little bit smaller and a little bit easier for me to kind of like handle and shuffle and use. So let's see. We're not dealing with jumpers today. I know I keep having like cards want to jump out, but let's see what we have in store for this week as a collective and what we can work through, focus on for this very first week of February. All right, so let's see, what do we need to know as a collective? So here we have the Nine of Cups. See, I can't even read it. Nine of Cups reversed. All right. And then what do we need to do as a collective? We have the Queen of Rods or the Queen of Wands reversed. Now, what do we need to release? I guess we're going to do this one. Death. Okay. And then what do we need to contemplate as a collective? We have the Magician. I'm also going to pull a couple of oracle cards just because we do have this Leo full moon, which is actually going to be the beginning and the opening of the eclipses, kind of preparing us. We're going to have a solar eclipse on February 17th here in the US, the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know if that's going to be a different date for the Southern Hemisphere, but I'm assuming it is. So we have Moonflower, Take a Risk. So it's the Moonology Messages card. And then I'm also going to pull a card from, I really want to do, we'll do the Elemental Empath. I can't really go wrong with this deck. It's a beautiful deck, and I really do like the messages that I get. I know it's a little bit more feminine forward, but it does have a nice, okay. So we have Manifest Magic. All right, it just came on out the way it wanted to today. So now that we have our cards and we have everything else, let's see, let me move these guys a little bit forward and then we'll put these guys down here. So let's kind of get into the messages for this week, if that's all right. So very first card, what we need to know, we have the Nine of Cups reverse. Now, typically the Nine of Cups is a card of like our well-deserved reward. Like it is something that really is talking about, our wishes coming true. It is very much about kind of bringing the sort of energy of like pushing through what we've gone and experienced in order to be able to really feel into the next thing of what we want. Now, with this being reversed, I feel like maybe there's something that emotionally we haven't really let go, something maybe that we've been wanting to move on from, but we really haven't. I know that this Leo full moon will be one that really is really requiring us to kind of look within, see where maybe we haven't allowed ourselves to shine, maybe where we haven't really been authentic to ourselves or true to who we are. There's a lot of this kind of energy especially, you know, with having Neptune that moved into Aries. We're also going to have Saturn moving into Aries. So we're getting a lot of this kind of fiery, like push and pull kind of energy with so many other things being in the sign of Aquarius. We're getting like this air and this fire. And so things are going to feel a little bit more explosive. They're going to feel like we're being urged to kind of hurry up and kind of make a choice, make a decision. With the Nine of Cups reversed here, what we need to know is that maybe it's not so much about having everything, you know, planned out and having everything look a certain way or feel a certain way. It may be just the time to move on from whatever we've been kind of hanging on to that is no longer in alignment with what we want and what we need. The other thing with this is that intuitively, we may not be feeling quite as certain about what we're doing, why we're doing it. Maybe we're kind of feeling like we're kind of at the end of what we have been experiencing. So there is a little bit of this like push and pull kind of energy that I think collectively a lot of us are starting to feel, where we may feel like we have to kind of actively make a choice about how we're going to proceed. And it can be challenging, especially as, you know, many of us have our own things kind of going on. It can just feel very much like we're exhausted. And so right now we're kind of maybe looking at what things in our lives do we need to kind of move on from and not be so connected to, or, you know, like involved in at the current moment, because we may feel like the energy that we have is a little bit precious. Maybe we feel like the things that we have been wanting to do really are requiring a lot more energy from us than is typical, because we just don't have enough. Like, we're just not able to really tune back in, disconnect, really replenish ourselves in the way that maybe we could have at one point. But now, with the pace of so many things going on collectively and universally, it can just feel very much like I don't know what to do. I don't know what it is that I really want. I don't really know what that looks like. Maybe we're kind of reviewing the things that we had kind of desired for ourselves at one point, and we may just feel a little bit like in limbo. And I think that's kind of typical for the beginning of eclipse season, especially if you have any kind of prominent Pisces, Virgo, Leo, and Aquarius placements in your natal chart. You're really going to be feeling a lot of this energy, because we're going to have the final Pisces Virgo axis eclipses this year, and then we're also opening up the Leo and Aquarius eclipse season at this time. And so it's going to feel very much like it's not to say like you're being required to like actively get ready for things, but as someone that does have prominent Leo placements and has been through the last round of eclipses, I can just tell you they were very life changing. I mean, I have had crazy changes that have happened in my life, and especially during that time, that were really outside of my control. So I think that this week, maybe collectively, we're just really feeling the sense of, I don't really know if the wishes, desires, things that I had kind of wanted for myself even make sense for the world that we're currently living in. Maybe you're just kind of looking at what sort of things you've had to kind of release and let go of in order to be where you are right now. And maybe you're kind of, I don't want to say having a little bit of a reality check, but maybe there is a little bit of this energy of like, okay, I kind of need to look at, you know, why I want certain things, or why I'm focusing on these moments, or these things that I've been hanging on to. And maybe it's time for me to just really let this go and kind of move on to the next thing. Now, next to that, for what we need to do, we have the Queen of Rods, or the Queen of Wands. Now, to me, this is very much the energy of we're like feeling the tension of, I want to get up and do it. I want to get up and go. I want to like, move and shake and blah, 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 blah. But something is, I don't want to say prohibiting us. It's just really maybe not the most directed and focused energy at this time. And so again, we may just kind of be wanting to like have momentum just to have momentum. I know for many of us, like we've had a lot of winter storms kind of creating issues, kind of keeping us at home, not allowing us to really like kind of get out of the house, and things of that nature. So I think that this being reversed is that maybe we kind of feel like there's so many things I want to go out and do, but I haven't really had the chance to do it, or there's a lot of stuff that I would like to kind of initiate and start, but I don't really know how to kind of get out there. So when I think of wands, I think of travel, momentum, passion, fire. I think of, just that drive, that sense of inspiration and spiritually like receiving, what we need and what we want. And with queens, I feel like, again, it can be kind of seen as like this feminine energy, but it's a powerful feminine energy. It's not seen as, it can be seen maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say stubborn. I think that's more like a Queen of Pentacles kind of energy, but maybe a little bit more established, a little bit more aware of what they have, what they can do. With this being reversed, is that maybe we're not really recognizing and realizing our own personal power. And so we're just kind of like waiting for somebody else to tell us, what we should be doing and how we should be doing it, and what that will like require of us. So with what we need to do this week, I think again, we're just not quite ready to kind of get out there and do things in the way that we thought we were going to be able to. So there is a little bit of this, I don't want to say disconnected energy, but it can feel a little bit, like we're stuck right now with whatever it is that we have going on, and that we're not really seeing a lot of like the momentum, the movement that we would like to see. Now, if we move on to what we need to release, we have death. Now, I know a lot of people find the death card a little bit scary, the devil card as well. And we think of death in just the circle of life. It is just a part of it, right? It's one of the cycles. So death, with what we need to release, is death is really saying that maybe we need to kind of release the sense of what will come next, what needs to be let go of, what needs to be, what needs to be transformed. Maybe as a collective, a lot of us are like, I got to do this and we got to do that, and this needs to change and that needs to change, and death of this way and death of that way. And so a lot of us are maybe too focused on the grandness of it, like how big it is, like how all encompassing it can be. And so it can feel very much like we are really wanting to do all of these things. We're really wanting to say like, oh, it's going to be like this, and I got to do that, and I got to do this. I think with the death card here, with what we need to release, is maybe this sense of what we need to kind of hurry up and end, what we need to kind of hurry up and let go of. Maybe it's kind of saying like, hold on, like we need to kind of take a step back. We need to kind of look at things again. We kind of need to reassess, like, what are we really doing with this energy? Where is this really coming from? What do we really want to do with this, if that makes sense? And how will this look for us, not just on an individual level, but also as a collective? Like what, while we know that there's a lot of things that need to transform, a lot of things that need to be released, a lot of things that, require some sort of rebirth, right now, this week, at this moment, I feel like this is kind of saying like we just kind of have to let life's process do what it's going to do. Those cycles are going to come whether we're ready for them or not, and it's not really up to us on an individual level to feel like I need to kind of hurry up and do this. Now, I know springtime is coming, and that can be like a big time where many of us are kind of getting ready to kind of release and remove things. I know like technically we're still in the year of the snake. And so a lot of us are still feeling the sense of like we're trying to shed those last bits of things. But I think with this, it's kind of saying like we need to stop trying to force it. You know, if you do, you may cause more damage, you may cause more discord, you may not allow yourself to have a little bit more harmony in different areas. And so I think with this, it's kind of saying like we may be like ready to kind of move on to the next thing, but that doesn't mean that we can just like choose when the ending happens. We like, I mean, I guess in a lot of ways we can, if that makes sense. But I think collectively right now, it's kind of saying like we kind of have to wait for things to kind of happen. Now, if we move on to what we need to contemplate, we have the Magician. Now, the Magician is one of these cards that I have really, truly grown to love over the years. And with what we need to contemplate this week, we have the Magician. Now, to me, the Magician really represents a reminder that we are able to manifest and really create what it is that we're looking for. But a good magician needs to know exactly what they're doing before they kind of perform their ritual. They have to know what their intention is before they kind of do the trick, so to speak. And so while the magician can really be inspiring in the sense of, oh, I can kind of manifest anything, I can kind of get out there and do things, it is also saying, hey, let's rewind. Do you have access to the tools within yourself that you already need? Are you aware that you already have the tools within yourself in order to create whatever it is that you're looking for? So I think that the Magician is this wonderful reminder, especially with like what we need to contemplate, is that maybe we've kind of forgotten our own personal power because of the things that are kind of happening outside of us. And so I think the Magician is kind of sitting here saying like, hey, I understand that there's a lot of things that have been outside of your control, or things haven't really been feeling like you have a lot of control and direction as far as like what this is going to look like for you. But you also need to know what it is that you're trying to do before you kind of get out there and do it. Now, I know for a lot of us, we, feel like the beginning of the year is when we need to kind of hurry up and get our lives together and do this, that, the other. I think that, as we're kind of moving through February and the next, the new moon in Aquarius is actually the beginning of like the Chinese New Year. Some people don't really celebrate the new year until like Aries season. So a lot of people have their own kind of like personal points of time that they like to kind of celebrate what they feel is like the new year. So do what you need to with that energy. But I think the Magician is here with like a beautiful reminder that you are so much more powerful than maybe you've given yourself credit for. And it is time to kind of re-access that energy, to kind of move back into it. Having these two major cards this week, I think this is going to be a very pivotal week in a lot of different ways. Even if it isn't like a big bang of stuff happening, there are going to be some things that are going to require a lot of our, I don't want to say just like personal energy, but that awareness of what it is that we've been really focusing on, that maybe we're ready to kind of move on and into. And not because we're being forced to. It's more of a, what are you kind of choosing to let go of in your own way? Now, if we move on to the oracle cards that I pulled today, first one is Moonflower, Take a Risk, which sounds kind of counterintuitive to the messages that we received, but I think it's also very much in alignment with like the message of the Death card and also the Magician, is that maybe we need to kind of let go of the sense of trying to control everything and having everything look a certain way or be a certain way, or, I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, it's like I'm very much I have to wait until this and this and this happens, and then I can do this and this and this. I struggle with that. I am a perfectionist as well, so that's also one of my own kind of issues. I don't know if you guys also have some sort of struggle that is in that vein of kind of feeling like it's hard to, kind of put yourself out there and do something that may be a little bit different, a little bit challenging. I think that this week and this Leo full moon is kind of saying, like, where can you choose yourself? Where can you, do something that feels maybe scary to you, but is going to be extremely beneficial for you. And then finally, we have the Manifest Magic card, which is about weaving your magic. It's a card of miracles. It's about understanding manifestation. Again, very much magician energy, right? It's kind of saying like, hey, this is your time to really center your experience on what it is that you're trying to do for yourself. And I know some people think manifestation is all about just affirmations or writing things down or vision boards and all that stuff. And while those things can be extremely helpful on your manifesting journey, sometimes it can be something just very internalized where maybe you start changing the way that you view yourself. Maybe you start shifting your mindset in a way that allows you to be more receptive and open to good and beautiful things happening to you. I think the Manifest Magic can be very much about, kind of putting out into the ethers the sort of energy that you want to see in the world. It doesn't always have to be something that's like just focusing on the physical or the, earthly or material goods you can gain. I think manifesting can be, very spiritual in the sense of, maybe looking at opening up your heart to new relationships and new love and having more health and more abundance. And I mean abundance in the sense of the things that make you feel like your life is rich, right? And it doesn't always have to be physical things. It can be, good friends and good connections and good support and opportunity. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know anytime there's like a lot of opportunity in my own personal life, it just feels so magical and abundant. So I hope that this reading has brought you a little bit of clarity. I know that it's a little bit, all over the place, but I do think that this is going to be a really pivotal week in the sense of really getting a hold and some footing into what we want to do for 2026, how we want to kind of operate for the rest of this year and what that means for us, not just on an individual level, but also as like a collective. And I think a lot of us are kind of moving back into, doing things that feel connected for us as individuals and really wanting to focus on, what am I doing and what can I have in this life for myself that can really bring things together for me. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me this week. I really hope that you are doing okay. I want to say that I appreciate you being here with me. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye, friends.